Hi, everybody. Welcome to the July 10th regular planning and zoning meeting. Let's see, we're gonna call this meeting to order at 6:02 p.m. Here. Let's start. Who's in attendance? We got Commissioner Val and Kent and Bronwyn and Larry and Darlene. And the mayor's in attendance along with Sherry McCray and some fine gentlemen back there who I'm certain have signed in so that we know who we are in our minutes. Thank you, sir. And looks like we've got a new planner, I'll bet you anything, and our clerks. So welcome to all. Let's start then with item B. And our conflict of interest, huh?
No.
None for me.
Not for me.
I just want to thank everybody who worked on either July 3rd or July 4th celebration and was able to attend both, and they were both awesome.
So I'm interested.
I do not believe I have a conflict of interest, and I have, because I have no financial interest in the Will Read project, but I am a member of the joining community. And if that is a potential conflict, then I am declaring it.
Thank you. All right. Item C, the review and approval of our minutes. We're gonna save that until next meeting. So let's have a motion on to continue to table that. Is that what we do? What do you want us to do on that, Krista?
Yeah, just table the next.
So I'll make the motion. I'm gonna make a motion that we table the June 12th approval of the minutes until the next meeting.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. That motion passes. Okay, so we will start with open forum. My first speaker, we can talk about anything that's not on the agenda. So with this just roaring crowd, don't rush to the microphone. Is there anyone who'd like to say anything about anything that's not on the agenda?
Like their concert boys.
Oh, wow, thanks, Larry. Did you hear that? How great our July 3rd concert was? Yes, indeed. It was really fun. Thanks to everybody who came. Okay, I think I would like, as a point of order, to move commissioner comments to the end. Can I get my motion that, Crystal? Yes. Okay,
I make a motion to move commissioner comments to the end.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Yes.
No.
Oh, somebody's got something to say. I wasn't good at it. Uh-oh. Oh, wait, I should have said discussion. Shouldn't I?
I didn't.
No, okay, one saying yes.
I'd like to hear your reason, I guess.
Now you guys, anyway, finish voting, then we'll work this out.
Well, I was gonna say, sure, but Kent, you've got something he wants to say, and then,
So no?
sure, no.
Okay. Let him talk, it's okay.
No.
There we go. Okay, so we'd like to open commissioner comments, starting with Kent. That motion failed, by the way.
I'm not sure what we're talking about tonight, if anything, because I'm not sure the paper, the stuff that I got from Crystal is even on the agenda anymore. So I think that's pertinent enough to have an explanation as to why that happened.
I would say was some changes in protocol that were done there's some changes in protocol that were made official. And so it changed the timing of things, so it went. Gonna make me throw someone under the bus, but anyway, it got posted. Anyway, the change in protocol made it so it was tricky to have an agenda that matched what we actually ended up doing tonight. I didn't end up writing an agenda. How about this? I was too busy with my concert. How about that? We'll go with that. And, so I think the protocol will make it so everything that's on the agenda that needs to be from here on out, that's fine. Yeah.
So is this the stuff that we've been discussing for months?
Yes, that's right. That didn't get put on.
Some of it is.
Some of it, we got, well, there were some urgent items that came up, and those need to be put on, and I think that's why, not urgent, but time sensitive. So I think those were put on, and because, you know, our deadline changed, we didn't know for sure that we need to put all the rest of the stuff on, so
so there's deadlines that we have to get some things done.
I will go over those. We'll go around.
I'd like an explanation as to, we have items that we have been working on for months that seem to just get back every single month.
Yes.
And I don't quite understand why we can't, they've been to public hearings, why we can't forward them on to the town council and let the town council deal with them.
Well, right, and I would,
Darlene has a comment.
yeah, I tend to agree with that sentiment for sure. What I think, what we need, can't to avoid this in the future, is we need to, and we will do this in August, we need to get our protocols in place for planning and zoning. We need to have those in place, and we need to send them through. I think town council's working on the same kinds of things. I think once we get protocols in place where it doesn't change over time and where things get posted certain dates by certain people, you know, and all of the rules are organized properly, I think this can be avoided. And I think everybody on every side that shares some frustration in this, a lot of frustration, you know me, I've had lots. But, I think especially, you know, for the time frame we're talking about this right now, I think just know that that's, the protocols should help that.
Okay.
So that's what we need to focus on.
Hey, this is, I can't recall at the last meeting, there were, valuable input from the public, and we wanted to make sure we considered that, so that's been done. And with the voting going on in our meeting in August, that happened to be, there's what we wanted to be under the first meeting, so we don't hear the public hearing and the vote. So the reason we have a public hearing is because we wanted to make sure the concerns of the citizens were heard and if possible addressed. That's how it's.
Well, that's a positive framing of it, and we appreciate that.
Thank you for taking the time to do that.
Okay. Cool. Any other commissioner comments? Can we split this, because I'd like to reserve my comments to the end. So,
I agree with that.
Okay with that?
so I would like to make a motion that we have the rest of the commissioner comments, if any, at the end.
A second.
All in
Yes.
favor?
Bye.
Aye, thank you. Motion passes. Okay, all right, let's, if someone would like to, let's close this public meeting and open the public hearing.
I would like to close this. Yeah, I move that we close the public meeting and open the public hearing.
Second,
Okay, I got a second by Larry. All in favor?
Yes.
yes.
Yes,
Yes.
unanimous? All right, welcome to the public hearing. Okay, our first item for public hearing, and, just as I guess mirror what Darlene said. This commission really appreciates public comment. It's important to us that we actually listen, and we are setting up our schedule so that we can take what is said in public hearings seriously, so. Just want to throw that out there. Item number 1, is ordinance PZ 24H. It's an ordinance, we call it the sign ordinance. It's an ordinance replacing chapter 52 in the sign regulations. It's been on public hearing now a couple of times, so this is the last chance to say what you want to say, and we will vote on it next month. Okay, we will move to item number 2. This is ordinance PZ 24C, which is an ordinance, adding the terms for transit lodging and revising several chapters and charts and definitions and deleting a redundant chapter in our code that deals with transit lodging. So, if anyone has any comment on that, we will welcome those now. Okay. Item number 3, ordinance PZ 24G. which is transient lodging ordinance. A comprehensive one is replacing chapter 60, revising, pretty much replacing chapter 60. Riker, this is gonna be your friend. So, anyone has any comments about that? All right, oh, this is my favorite. This is not, sorry, I shouldn't say that. Nice and smooth. Okay, public hearing. Anybody else on public? Nope, okay. That needs a motion. Let's go back into our regular
I
meeting.
make the motion to close the public hearing and reopen the public meeting. I'll second.
And a second from Val, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. That's unanimous, the motion passes, and we'll give the clerks a minute to catch up with us on that. I'd like to welcome Ms. Snow, who's now in attendance. How you doing? Okay. For our public meeting, item number 1 is the rezone change. And, did all of you happen to read the letter from the applicant?
Yes.
He was signing it done, okay, so we all read that?
Is it a long letter?
No,
It's not a long letter.
It's not.
Can you give me the gist of it?
The gist is they would like to have this area rezoned, and please correct me if you want to. Rezoned.
It's printed out.
Yeah, it's in your stuff. The gist is
I think I've read it before, but.
they're surrounded by this particular zoning at this point, rural residential to them seems, useless because they're surrounded by that. And they don't have any current plans, so they don't feel like there should be any jeopardy or resistance, because they have no plans, and they would like to have that done, and that's very polite, nice letter.
I just want to add that, in not the last general plan, but the 3 general plans before that, that I
Yeah, trouble part,
recorded,
yeah.
the surveys, et cetera,
Mhm.
the results of those, that's where the majority of people in town wanted highway resort zone, was that end of town, so.
Okay, all right, great, thank you, that's good background to have.
This is our discussion.
It is our discussion, we don't have a motion yet. We're just-
So, I really appreciated the testimony given, at our last meeting by Fred Johnson, who is the professional geologist and who's familiar with this area. It encouraged me to look up on some other maps that I have access to, where in Virgin is a good place to have density and where is a good place to build. And in both cases, from what I can tell, this piece of property is white, which means it has not been yet evaluated. There's many places in Virgin which have not been geologically evaluated. And just thinking of that huge boulder in Tocqueville, and some of this very, what I think, slope, that's the same problem they had. Drainage issues, the Dalton Wash floodplain. And that it would be, good for residential, but not extensive, in this man's opinion. I think we need to clarify that. I also want to be consistent in that, I think we need to get our general plan done before we do this. Those are my thoughts.
Thank you, Diane. Okay.
so my thought is similar, it's probably a question for Keith, but I was looking at what is said to be land suitability. And it says no land shall be developed if it's unstable or unsuitable. And here's some requirements, one was, part of it's in a floodplain which can be built around. But having slopes greater than 30%, which that obviously is, would be unsuitable for building according to our own code. And drainage, where there's also a wash that runs down through the property. But my question to Pete is, are we to consider this when we're trying to consider a zone change, or is it fits the general plan, it fits the,
We're looking at, general plan compliance, we're looking at, well, we're looking at uses. And this is it's a highway, they're looking to move to highway resort, so kind of a commercial, one of our commercial type zones. We need to make sure that we understand that we have sufficient infrastructure. It wouldn't put any unnecessary additional burden by just the use. I mean, the intensity of the types of uses that are allowed in that type of zone. As long as there's nothing glaring like that, and there is a determination that it complies at least with the spirit and the intent of the general plan. We have a very general. It's a general plan. So we don't have, like really detailed future land use maps, in our general plan. So I think you need to look at what the general principles are. I know that our general plan, there's discussions about this part of town and the types of uses near the highway and things like that. So you really don't, you're asking me questions that like slope stability and those types of things. And some of our hillside protection provisions, that would come and be evaluated after a zone change when they come in for some sort of project. And they would have initially conceptual drawings. If it moves through a conceptual and preliminary approval, then they're gonna have to get down to the nitty gritty and construction drawings. And that's when the rubber hits the road and there's a lot of detail there. And technically we can turn down or deny a project if it's gonna violate our 30% slope requirement and other things like that. But on a zone change, don't really look at that.
yeah, so if this was if you weren't considering the topography or the geography, and you were just looking at a zoning map and how it's surrounded by,
And look at your general plan, look what it says about that area of town,
and it says,
and provisions about what kind of uses we want to see along the highway. If you feel like it meets the spirit of.
right, I think it fits all of that.
Yeah.
So, okay, that's, so I need.
So, and so those are the things we look at when we have a development in front of us, and unfortunately, or fortunately, depending. The one thing it does say is, I guess it's fortunately, the applicant, it does say in our code directly that if it's at all possible, you go to the applicant. You try to go to the applicant, honestly, with just a simple zone change. So, anyway, just so you know.
And I feel like commercial or residential use on there would be tough to engineer around, but.
No, when they pick a project, it's gonna have a lot of scrutiny, probably. Yes, please.
Chapter 4 of our different general plan is environmental elements
Yeah.
under 4.02 desire B,
Yeah.
sensitivity to the environment.
Yes.
It is also desired to have areas of restricted development to hide due to highly sensitive natural characteristics.
So, yes, I see that, it says building design, site plans and subdivisions particularly, so we might have to wait to for those things, but
So do we have any, on this property, is there any known like wetlands or waterfall areas or?
no, Rob,
So the geologist that was here, was it our last meeting? Said that he felt the slope was unstable, and you might be able to get away with a residential use on that lot because it's not high impact, but you couldn't figure out how you'd be able to engineer a commercial use on that lot. But that's not something we should
Yeah.
consider. when we're
So,
talking about
To me, it's not, okay, so concerns over things like slope stability and things like that. That has to be evaluated with a detailed geotechnical engineer doing a slope stability study.
Unless we have it in our code.
We don't require something like that as zone change, we require any development to get approval level. And what I'm asking is like, say there's an area of towns and there's a known wetlands there, and there's different types of wildlife or something like that, or we have an area which is a known rockfall hazard, where we've had rocks fall off and almost hit the highway or something like that. If they are patently obvious, that's when we could invoke, like that provision of the general plan to say, hey, we have environmentally sensitive land here, and for that reason, we choose to deny the zone change. We would prefer to see it more open space or something less intrusive or aggressive than the commercial use. But if it's just a hillside, and it's questionable how much flatland they have and whether they can properly, cut in and have stability, keep stability of the hillside and things like that. Those things all get dealt with. That development, so.
I mean, there are questions on John Wash about drainage and a whole bunch of other things, but I just don't know. If we
Well,
have-
their construction plans would have to, as the wash comes through their property, they're gonna have to deal with it. They may have to rearm it.
No, I wasn't saying it was what the threshold you're saying, I'm saying it probably don't, but they're not wrong about it.
It seems more expedient to investigate that before making a decision, since no plans are, by the current owner's own statement, we have no plans to develop it at this time or sell it. And I have seen projects in sensitive lands once that change has come.
Yeah.
And I've not been up there, I've not been up there. I don't think anybody here has been up there. And I'm just saying, inviting you at least do a field trip up there.
There is some grading on there already. Some of it looks fairly recent because it hasn't been covered in use yet, but I don't know if that's the current thing with it. With the grading, but that's one of my concerns is that it doesn't seem like we require a plan to do grading, and somebody can start grading on that before we have an opportunity to approve a set of plans.
That is something that we as a city need to look at. We probably do need to adopt a grading ordinance. And say above and beyond a minimum size or volume of soil. If you're gonna do more grading than that, then you have to come in and get a grading permit. We need to see a plan, we need to see an erosion and a dust mitigation plan and a traffic, where they're gonna track out and things like that, but we don't have that in the town. And Tokerville's just gone through that, adopting the grading ordinance because they're starting to see development and they're like, hey, we don't want like mega mass grading, going on. Because so they adopted it and now requires a permit. They have the ability administratively to look at those things in more detail. So, but what I was gonna say, Darling, to your question, I'm looking at in the highway resort zone, permitted uses. Single family dwellings, accessory buildings, guest house, casinos, bed and breakfast, brewery, winery, restaurant, or food truck, those are permitted. And then conditional uses. There's a whole lot in there. But I look at something like shovel stop is a conditional use. Say, but we have no idea what their use is going to be. I don't know whether they have an idea what their use is going to be. But would there be enough room on that parcel off the side of the highway for shell stop? Maybe.
The access is on the highway, to Dalton Wash.
Gotcha. Well, And so maybe then it would not be ideal for it, and that might not be a good example, but I guess my point is until the owner of the land has determined what the use is going to be, it is hard to evaluate the environmental impacts of the use. So that's why I say we can't really focus down on some of that. If there are known, obvious, sensitive lands, yes, the hillside, I would not call, we've got a lot of hillside in this town. So, I don't know that necessarily per se call that sensitive.
Thank you. Val, did you have anything?
Val, thanks. With regards to.
For microphone.
Regards to. The issue, I remember, first moving here, I saw the map that you guys did, and it made so much sense. And I've been very upset with that got played with.
As have I.
I did leave the last meeting and walked up to the path, up to the top. And I suggest that everybody do that with this site. If we look at it on a map, and until we're up there, or till we walk it, you don't really realize what can and can't be done. And I appreciate some of the things you said, Keith, about, we really don't know till down the road. There's a lot of things involved when it comes to what do we want to do on these elevated areas. There isn't a hillside here work. There's a rudimentary road that takes you up on the small piece to work with. And it's pretty small, very small to work with. What you could put in there in the way of a hotel or a motel would be really questionable to be able to put the parking, put everything that's going to be needed in a resort on this particular site. Could it be done? Probably in today's world. You have to really look at, could the owner or the developer break it out to cost and profit and make it work? But the thing that concerns me when I get up there is I don't think we have, we have a lot of argument about hillside ordinances and setbacks. And if we're gonna have 100-foot setbacks, oh my gosh, that's really changing what you can do on this piece of property. And so I got up there and basically it's a beautiful view, you know, but I looked back to the west and there's Wildflower. Is the next place. And a little space between it that I don't know that is that developable, but maybe with some lot of dirt work to get to Wildflower. But there's controversy about Wildflower and viewscapes and what we do with what we are famous for. And do we want a 2 or 1 or 3-story 25, 35-foot motel up at that point above the highway as we come down up, as we come up SR9 or down SR9 and looking at what's on there. So the viewscapes are critical, and I would definitely want to push this back and until we get some of these land use issues settled that we've been talking about. So I would vote no today.
Which, that's right. I just want to keep in, you gotta remember, we gotta follow what's actually in the ordinance. Everything I'm hearing is exactly the mindset we need as we're moving forward in our general plan. These are the exact considerations that need to be thought through as we put together what this town's gonna look like. And it's wonderful. We do have to go with what's in our ordinances right now, which is, we don't really have a reason not to. That's good enough.
It isn't the flood hazard area. Property report states that.
But how-
Even does it have any
Is property in special flood hazard area?
And then we have to get rid of most of the houses along the river. So, no, I'm not disregarding what you're saying, it's a.
But if that's,
100%
that
valid point.
relates to the general plan.
It does. So do I need to look up the place where it says if it's even close, you gotta go with the applicant? And I'll look it up here.
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
Have that one here, sorry. Alright. Look at, if someone's faster than me, look on zone changes. Nothing. Just 30, my friend. Gosh. I'm gonna get Jamie right off his vacation so we can tell him where this is.
I just searched that chapter for zone change.
Let's go general, because it says. I searched the faculties too. No, I've got the spinning wheel of death. Anybody else got a computer working? You haven't spinning too, must be an internet.
No, I-
Here's what came up. You're the good group. It's finished, you know. 608.
It's coming up. With loose match. 608.
Yes.
What is it? 608.
This is, master plan overlay zone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this only relates to that.
That's a closed chapter.
Yeah,
MPE,
so,
MPE, zone,
mhm.
MPO.
Search applicant, because that's in the. Mayor, do you know where that one is?
I don't believe it's in our town code, I believe it's in the state code.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
It's a land use application.
That's correct, it is state code, thank you, that's right, I'm sorry. Hey, you should have helped me.
Well,
Well, you were saying it's in the code, I said, and I.
Yeah, no, you're right, it is in state code, I'm sorry. So, yep, that's right.
I'm trying to find it for you, but it's state code.
Yeah, that's right, thanks.
Alright.
You mentioned over there?
Let me read it.
Yeah, please.
That's what I mentioned that.
You're in chapter, it's in chapter 5,
Chapter 5.
10 9A.
Yes.
Section.
Five what?
Yeah.
That is under. This is the new one that was superseded. It will be superseding in 11, but I can, or in November, but I can get to you.
Oh, it's reading.
Five oh nine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. 1098-509-1, one A, little Roman 2. An applicant is entitled to approval of a land use application. So it's not just a zone. It's any type of land use application. An applicant is entitled to approval of a land use application if the application conforms to the requirements of the applicable land use regulations. And development standards in effect when the applicant submits a complete application and pays application fees. And it says, unless there is the land use authority on the record formally finds that compelling and countervailing public interest would be jeopardized by approving the application and specifies the compelling and countervailing public interest.
That's similar to what you.
So, and I always teach that, look, it is very easy to say, I just don't think that's right. I don't think. Now, zone changes are a little bit harder. Subdivisions are pretty black and white. Does it comply? Does it not comply? Zone changes, you're trying to evaluate against your general plan and kind of the growth policy of the city. And so, I think that if the commission is, feels like they should recommend denial of the zone change, I think the motion needs to be pretty specific about what sections of the general plan the proposed zone change doesn't comply.
So wait, do we have an ingress or egress from Huckabell Road? Are we on Love Terrace Road? No.
No, if you go all the way, there is no.
Oh. Highway resort with the designation is available to portions that, number one, directly front SR 9 and are located east of 295 and are located east of 295 east to the eastern town boundary. Number two, directly front Love Terrace Road and are located east of the western quarter section of line, blah, blah. Under the conditions of all access to property in zone HRB shall be from Love Terrace Road, not ingress and egress from Huckabell Road.
Well,
Live in the area.
that refers to parcels that from.
Is available too. It's actually saying if that's available to them, that. Does it mean they're not available to those that aren't? That's what I'm asking.
You're just saying you can't use pocket availability for highway resort.
Well, or is it saying it has to have direct frontage on Love Terrace or SN9?
It's on that.
It does not have
It doesn't have
access.
It doesn't have access, that's what you're talking about.
Well,
The front,
that property, so you're telling me that property right there is not long?
No.
No,
Where that runs the
it fronts SR 9.
I know, the house, what's the access? SR9 is a limited
No,
access.
yeah, the access is Dalton Walk.
It doesn't, but if it directly,
You have an established road.
Yes,
and it directly fronts.
I understood, but it is an established road, if it shows on county GIS, it has for more than 10 years, and it's remained improved, it's a public road. If that's its access, it's access, but when you read the highway resort zone,
No, it says directly from SR9. We don't, yeah, it's, you're right.
Directly from.
I was just checking to make sure we weren't missing anything. I'm fine. We're not missing anything. Okay, all right, anybody got anything else to say about this?
yeah, one more thing, it comes up with the discussion again so far, it's been added. I believe the application, by state code that I understand it, would not apply in that, the site community could possibly apply for residential, which it already is. But for it to be able to apply, in my opinion, to, highway resort, throws a whole different ball into the state's code of applicability.
Except
This
for
piece of property.
that we don't have any standards for that.
So
We
state,
make-
state does,
With the
Or,
No, it says it has to comply with our standards. And our standards are, we got a couple access things here, and other than that, we got nothing. I mean, as far as
if you're
general,
asking about access on that, sorry, I thought you were asking about.
Now, as I was understanding your statement, I maybe misunderstood you, but I thought you were saying that there's a state code that says if this applies, a landowner should be given the benefit of any doubt of what the landowner wants to do.
Essentially,
And in that case, I believe this piece of property applies better to geology, safety, general plan, site, viewscape, all these different kinds of things to residential. But based on what I see as the developable land up on top of this piece,
did you hear the word part about having to be specified? We don't have that, we don't have it specified.
We do have on 5.02 E in our general plan, floodplain drainage area management.
Okay.
And I also cited another section.
I did look at the flood map and it's just a little section of the little line piece that goes under the Dalton Wash. It's not anywhere where they would probably within setbacks of where they would be able to build. So I don't think the flood, other than maybe they'd have to say reinforce the channel, but I don't think flood would be a reason to develop it. There's
And I feel like these are engineering issues.
They are, and they're all valid issues, it's just not the right
Right.
time for,
Right.
so that's the thing. It's not the right level, layer.
Well, and the fact that it's completely surrounded by highway
Yeah.
resort zone, it's like this little pocket of not highway resort zone.
I mean, I share all the concerns specifically, but I just don't,
Right.
we really can't.
And I wanna add that because it can be, doesn't require it to be.
That's.
It
Actually,
says that's where it could be, it doesn't say it has to be.
and I was trying to make a point with regards to Val and to the previous zoning that this was years ago, which made so much sense on a map. Go walk on top of this, guys. I think you'll change your mind.
no, I looked at it enough to know you're right as far as your concerns. I'm not, I mean, any of the concerns, we just don't have, we need to back it up, so we need a motion to move this through and maybe or not through. Everybody votes how they feel, do not change how you feel, let's just make a motion and vote on this, shall we?
So we know that I have some concerns, but I feel like it'd be tough for us to deny it, so I'm gonna move that we recommend the city council to approve the zone change ordinance 2024, we don't know what number yet for it, so XX,
There you go.
allowing lots B 2149 to be zoned from rural residential to commercial.
Highway resort zone.
I would so.
Yeah, we got it.
I'll second.
Okay, wait a second, we have a motion to, recommend to town council, ordinance number 2024XX, rezoning from rural residential to highway resort zone, parcel
2149.
2149, thank you, B 2149, and, we'll take one roll call, because we'll by roll call vote, we'll take that now.
Yes,
No,
Yes,
Yes.
no, and that's not a feeling, that's based on non-agreeing with our general plan.
thank you. All right, so the motion passes with note, and let's make sure let's get these opinions on our recommendations, if you guys can write your paragraph on your concerns. Let's put that on our recommendation to town council, okay? Thank you. All right, next. Are you good for some?
Oh, yeah.
So the next is possible approval of a final plat for V 2-1-21-314 and V 2-1-21-315 Willow Green project. And let's start a discussion on that, shall we?
Well, I'm new here, so I've never had to approve subdivision, but
So this is an unconditional one for many reasons, so you're gonna get ready.
well, I was trying to review. Well, I went back to figure out what it would take to approve a subdivision, and
Yes,
we're supposed to use our city engineer's recommendation
right,
after he's looked at everything and made sure that it complied with all our ordinances. And didn't see that anywhere, I didn't see anything other than a bunch of plot plans or site plans.
yes, I didn't see it, I don't see anything with signatures on it, and some of those we usually, let's in you get in the process, there's some things that are signing,
So I feel like it's
but we
incomplete
do have.
for us to review for just that reason alone, that we don't have the recommendation from the city county engineer that says it meets all the requirements. And there's a whole list of requirements that I have no idea, but will they reduce our water pressure by 40 or to 40 pounds anywhere in town if they hook up maybe your engineer knows, but I don't know. And then two of the lots are less than our wide or minimum, which to me would automatically mean that it could be subdivided smaller than what we allow in our commercial zone. I didn't put this on this.
I had a question about the preliminary plat.
Yes,
Yeah.
did you have some more?
I have-
Oh, I'm sorry.
I found just a couple.
You're next.
I just, what was the date of the approval of the preliminary plat?
Yeah, but you
Yeah.
have that, let's let Larry finish his comment,
Okay.
let's examine that, because that's important.
So, reading through what we can and can't do tonight, if we don't feel like it's complete, then we can hold the matter in abeyance, I guess is what it says, and I feel like that's the best we can do tonight until we have something that shows that we got the written report from the county engineer showing that it's been.
Can I give the planning commission a little bit of background? Only because I've been semi-collaterally involved as this has gone through the process. And in 2020, there was presented a preliminary site plan. It was approved in early 2021, after which a set
Is
of
that March?
I think so, after which a set of construction drawings for the entire project were prepared and submitted, reviewed by the town's engineer and approved. It was signed off by not only the town's engineer, it was signed off by the fire district, and any other utility providers for the area. They all have to sign construction drawings before they can even start building there. And as I wrote in today, I looked at how much they've done a lot of the site plan, site work, what I would call the horizontal improvements, and there's a gas station up there. So, what I'm saying is that we do have an approved set of construction drawings. If this final plat modifies anything from the preliminary plat, and when I say modify, it would be something that would change access points, change shared utilities or anything like that.
So Keith, the thing is, we don't have it to look at tonight.
You have in your share point.
Is this the preliminary, this is the one that was signed, no, this is not, it's
I'm
not.
looking,
It's what went through in March, I should ask you.
this one is, let me back up and I'll put on what it is. It is the one that says Virgin Commercial Construction Drawings,
Okay,
not unless it's fire site plans, it's the iron. But this, the construction drawing, there's 12 sheets
yeah,
and you can see the different items on the sheet. There's identification of utility locations, and different things. It shows the heights and levels of roads, cross sections of them. It shows a lot of detail about some of the utilities, the depths of trenches, sewer line or lines and all those things, water meters, and how they're supposed to connect. So those things have all been reviewed. Like I said, at the time, in 2021, we didn't have a design review committee like we do now. And I haven't spent enough time to look at the final plat to say, is there variations from the approved design?
How do you feel?
And I'm using the word plat, commercially, it's site plan.
Okay.
Site plans, there was an approved preliminary site plan, and construction drawings were drafted and created based on the approved site. And they've gone out and started doing what I would call the public improvement, sidewalks and those kind of things. And so
So where do we get any written verification of that these have been approved? I see them here and they're signed, I've got the engineer that made them. Where is my documentation that says
these
these
drawings.
were approved? Just because I feel like I should have that.
Yeah.
About our basis.
So this. Yeah, we know now, that's the sign said. The
So,
city always keeps the complete the preset. So normally, what happens before we have the design review committee created, a set of construction drawings would go to our engineer. He would review it. He would probably shoot it off to the fire district, to the town chief who reviews site plans, would make any comments or suggestions or requirements so that it would meet fire code. He would fire it off to Rocky Mountain Power, whoever, anybody who would be providing utility service, have them get their input, and then he would give them back any suggested changes. They would make those changes, bring it back to him. He would sign off on it and circulate it back around for signatures on the construction drawings. We now do that in the form of, we've got a design review committee that basically each of the utility providers and the town, and any like special service district or anything that might have, can be present at that, and it gets reviewed and approved, that way.
Right, and so as long as there's no changes, that would be something that we can accept, right? But where's, I'm not trying to be a jerk here, but where's, just because I need to see that it was approved, I don't have any paperwork that says this went through, this actually was approved as this plan. I'm sure it's there, but don't we need it?
What do you mean, you've got it?
So you're telling me this was approved by someone, which, and then built off of it, so somebody had to approve it,
Yes,
so.
county engineer.
Did
Construction
he
drawings
just- he
do
just-
not get
Did he
approved
just
by.
give it with his lipstick and put it, like, how do we know?
Usually they sign the official set,
Okay, so, but we don't have that, right?
not in this room.
not in this
But
room.
do we have it somewhere?
We have a copy of it in your SharePoint.
Not signed on.
Doesn't say-
Not signed. We don't have any engineering report.
No engineering.
That's what I'm trying to ask.
So,
And are you guys trying to say that we don't have a signed one in there? How did we allow construction to come?
That's, we don't know, that's the question, we're not.
This-
I don't want it not to be there, I want to have them.
can I just point out, this is not about that.
Okay. what is it?
They are asking for a subdivision. They are asking to turn 2 lots into 4. 2 of those lots clearly violate our commercial code. Specifically,
Size.
8.12. It says, no parcel of land which has less than the minimum width, which is an acre. In commercial,
Width or size?
and area.
Area.
For the district in which it is located may be cut off from a larger parcel of land for the purpose, whether immediate or future, of building or development has involved. I call that a major change. And then in 40.14, the chart clearly says 1 acre.
Yeah.
it should have gone through the DRC because this is something new. And there is a specific final plat, and then, by that, then 1810. The final plat process is separate.
Oh, it is.
So Darren,
And so what they did before, especially with this change,
So you're saying, is there any other changes that you're aware of besides? Because the preliminary site plan that was approved has a phase line right down through where the new,
no, it's different, it's different.
okay, like, help me understand what.
So where it's in the middle between the two buildings, the older versions stop it at the end of what is to be the retail building. This is the first time that line is gone. And it's just not possible because we can't approve something that violates our code. Yeah, so I'm sorry.
yeah, so anyway, so yeah, that's another layer. So the first layer is we need to be able to see what was approved versus what's there now. That's layer one. Okay, so then I have some questions on that, just because we don't have the document. Now that we can get.
Can we allow that?
I would love that. That would be terrific. Would
You
you
can
please?
ask questions without.
This is not the first time that we've been through this.
Really?
This has been reviewed by every engineering company in the state almost, and we've had approvals. The ordinance is, I believe it's residential that requires it to be 1 acre.
No.
So we have been, this is not the first time.
2014.
Let me make a couple phone calls, so this has been brought up before, this has been approved. We are here just to finalize what has already been approved. We've had conversations with the staff. I'm sorry that you guys are the first time that you've seen this, but this has been since 2020 that we have been working on this. So it's not the first time we've done this. If you'll give me a few minutes, I will make a phone call to find out the details on exactly where we can find out why those plats work, and it's in a commercial zone. So the zoning allows for it's the accumulation of, yes, it does, and we've been there. We would not be here today, Darlene, if that didn't, Darlene, we would not be here today if in 2020, you would have said, hey, no, that size of lot does not work.
So,
So it just shows that the subdivision map was drawn in May of 24, so the construction document was all approved, right, but not the subdivision in smaller lots. That's right.
The preliminary site plan, I'm looking at it, and it showed 4 lots in the preliminary site plan.
But at the top of that, it lists 2.
No, it shows, I mean, pull it up, you can see where those breaks are.
At the very top, it cites the lots.
Yeah, but look at the preliminary plat, there it shows the break, it shows lot 4, lot 3, lot 2, lot 1, they're all right there.
But the parcel numbers listed at the top list 2 parcels.
Exactly, it has to, that's part of the preliminary plat process, you show which parcel IDs you are affected. That's why it puts the 2 of them up there, you have to say which parcels are being affected, but it clearly states lot 4 lots. That was approved.
okay, so,
I disagree.
all right, hang on. So, just so everybody knows, and this is because I want this, but let's direct all of the comments to the chair, because you don't wanna have, okay, that would be great. So, I'm just trying to get the background so that I can make right decisions on those things. There's some current things that were relevant, like as far as, there's some other things. So do you want to take the time to get that information? Could you?
Yeah, give me 5 minutes, I'll
Do you
make a
wanna
call.
do that? Okay.
Is that the only concern, is that you're concerned about the size of the lot?
So I will tell you
I'm
right
sorry.
now, that is a concern,
Any concern?
and if you want to clear that up, that may help this commission.
Yes,
Okay,
is there any other concerns?
yeah, but do you wanna, I just say those out, they're with other things, and now everyone's arguing, I'm gonna calm down. But, yeah, the things that I'm more concerned about, that I need to know about are like, if you're dividing these lots the way that you are, there's shared utilities and sewer and all of that, is there some kind of?
Oh my
agreement?
goodness, we spent
Yeah.
a year with the state
Right.
and with Ash Creek, and so
Did you have
yes,
the agreements?
yes, they're
You
all
have-
in place, those
So
are all
like
submitted.
commercial,
In order to get the construction drawings approved, which the building, that all had to be in place.
and so we
But my question is, when we record a commercial site plan, subdividing it into, when it's recorded, the final site plan is approved and recorded, it subdivides this into 4 lots.
Yes,
My question for you is, at that point in time, you're able to sell individual lots.
that's correct.
So what, as the city attorney, one of the things before I will sign off on it is that I need to know how you have 2 common accesses. And you have, the vehicles will drive a couple different ways, but you have shared common access. You may have some utilities that are brought on to the property, and then treated out to the different buildings or conceptual buildings on a lot. You need to have a commercial owners association created and a set of CCNRs that address how you're going to collect and how the different.
Yes, that is correct. That is part of the reporting. When we record this, it'll be recorded with that. You'll have to approve all.
Yeah, and I'll review it. So that's one thing I would suggest, that if there is going to be a recommendation for approval to the council, that it be with the condition that prior to reporting a proof of the creation of an owners association and CCNRs that address the assessment and maintenance of common areas and accesses and utilities being reviewed by the town attorney to his satisfaction prior to recordation. And that's fairly common. I don't look at anybody's CCNRs and stuff until the final plat gets approved and it's coming to me for my signature. I want to say, okay, you got common areas, how are you guys all gonna pay for it? What happens if you get a big sinkhole right here? What if the water line breaks that connects to 2 different lots in there?
so thank you. So what about, some of my other questions that
Yeah.
I'll jump now. So, for the public improvements, for the part of, are you, like, the bonding that needs to be done, like, do you have all this stuff?
I think all the public improvements, have they all
Have
been?
they all been bonded, because they're not?
We don't have the warranty bond in place, but we will. All of the improvements for the subdivision have been installed.
I was looking, as I drove in, I actually stopped and pulled and through. I'm not an engineer, I didn't compare it to the construction drawings or anything like that, but it appeared like the roads, sidewalks, streetlights, any signage, all those types of things that I would consider to be public improvements have been built. So his point is that once we record the plat, they have a 1-year warranty obligation that all those improvements will continue to work and fix. And if they don't, there's a problem, we call on them. If they don't fix it, then we call on bond.
So the issue that for us becomes, how do we approve a final plat when we don't have any of the people?
So, yeah, my,
We need to just see this stuff, right? If
I
you've
think
got your
that
ducks
this
in a-
is supposed to be the formality where you rely on your staff, that they have done their job.
Perhaps.
And so I don't
The
know,
other
it's been going on for so long
You're
that
like-
your processes have changed so many times.
So I have another question I have to ask the attorney, so
Yeah.
we make you stand there. So my other concern with where our code was written, Heath, is that we do have to go through, I always call it the wrong thing, DRC, is that right? I always call it DNC, which is really wrong. Because this approval is happening now, our protocol now says we have to go through that committee, that they have to get, does that have to happen in this case based on our ordinance? That's what we need to know. Because,
We submitted prior to that requirement,
we submitted, yes, and I'm
Yes.
aware of that, but I'm just,
so we don't fall under that requirement.
even with the changes.
That's correct.
my understanding is that the construction drawings were reviewed by the town through the process that it followed before we created the design. If, and this is a question for the applicant, in the final plat, is there any modifications to the lot locations or building locations that would have any sort of effect on utilities or a change in traffic flow or anything?
No, no. And you can look at that. Part of that was a discussion. You'll see that instead of that line between 3 and lot 4 going all the way to the property line, it stopped. Because originally it was thought that, okay, that's gonna be the best spot for the leach lines, which they decided the best spot for the leach lines is on the other side.
Yeah. And we actually have, I think, so,
I believe traffic flow is also affected on the 1420 access by the angled parking there. So that only one lane is,
let's look at that, let's pull that, do we have that?
yes.
Do you want to take a minute and do any of that?
Well, while you're doing it, I'll just
You're
text,
we're
yeah.
multitasking. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And I just have to go back to, I'm looking at 40.14 and it's just crystal clear. And I couldn't in good conscience say that the only exception is to pre-establish before 2022.
2022.
And this is differently, the lines are different. I don't care why they're different, they're different.
That's a question.
And,
Right.
And these are under. And the only first time they were different is now. And they're under an acre.
So hang on, let's talk some more about that, Darlene.
Yeah.
I wanted to get down.
Well, I just had a question because of, and it's. So in chapter 18, it says the subdivider shall prepare a final plat and application in accordance with this ordinance no later than 6 months after the date of approval of a preliminary plat.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Keith is speechless.
I know he's speechless, well, and it also talks about extensions, which we don't have any record of, so it just need to sort of.
but they continue to build improvements.
Yeah,
And they've built the improvements, so to say your preliminary site plan is revoked at this point in
oh, no,
time.
well, of course not, but,
But you can still do those improvements on 2 lots, it doesn't, that has nothing to do with the subdivision.
yeah,
Oh, sure.
And everything that's going up there could happen on 2 lots, just as easy as, or it's happening on 2 lots.
Well,
Which is in code.
My concern is that I read this for the first time yesterday, even though it's been around for years apparently. And all it says on our agenda is possible approval of final plat. So again, never having approved the subdivision, I went back to see what we have to do to approve the subdivision. It says, if you highly rely on a report from your town engineer, which I haven't seen, there's nothing, not an ordinance number telling us what we're gonna approve. I don't even know how I'd make a motion if I had the information I thought I needed. And I have a piece of property that's 1 acre and commercial that I would love to make condo units out of, but because it would be less than 1 acre lot, I didn't think I could do that. So I would love to find out.
Yeah, it
what
is the 6.5 acres between those two. And so it's you can do the division based on the total acreage and the number of lots. So,
I have to see that in our code.
and I've requested that information. You do have it in your code. And just because I don't know your code as well as others,
And
like,
isn't that plan unit development or some other different, it's not just a standard subdivision at that point, if you have lots smaller, like I live in a plan unit development that has half acre lots, but we have open area that accounts for the rest of it.
and so that, and that's really what you do. You have a ton of open area here. And and that's what accommodates that.
So would it have to be a planned unit development agreement that would have to be approved or subdivision? So these are all questions.
Whatever it was, we started the process
Yeah.
years ago, and just because it changes so much, but, let me see, I'll step out and see if I can make a
Let's
phone
take-
call so that I can get the exact ordinance to,
Yeah.
But that's-
In
in essence, I don't know where it's found in there, but because we have so much open space and because we have 6 acres and we're doing 4 lots, we do comply. And this was discussed 3 years ago, so otherwise we wouldn't be here today.
Okay, all right, well, thank you for getting that information, we'll continue talking to you about that. Thank you. So,
Have a comment.
yes, please.
Um, all the codes and lines and all that kind of stuff doesn't mean much to me right now.
Uh-oh.
It would mean a lot maybe 4 or 5 years ago or if I was sitting.
Yeah,
But right now we have a service station and a development that's, you could say 40–50% done. And I think that, none of us here would be involved in that. But I think we have an obligation
well,
to
we,
the development, do everything we can to help expedite his development.
we do, I agree,
And to not
we need
to
to,
not, impede it, but as government says, there are requirements. Let's look at these before we put our stamp and our signature on it. And let's see what we can do to help this development get this done, because the way it sits right now, I don't like the way it looks now, that's for sure. I want it to go 10–15 years from now, with trees up and things like that.
When we,
when let it finish.
okay,
They don't, we're gonna done.
That's all right, that's all right. And then I'm just saying, I didn't want to make a big deal about this statement. Other than that, let's remember that we're here to help
Right.
and us. He is us now, he's part of us. And we need to make sure that we do everything we can to help him develop that in a way that we feel is appropriate and that works for him. And we need to push hard to make sure he has the freedom to move forward as fast as he can. He is spending $2 right now, every single minute, to banks and everything else to get this done so he can start to make money and we can start to make money and be proud of what he's done. Let's make sure we can be proud of what he's done. It's been a struggle, but let's hold the feet to the fire, but let's put our feet in there too and help him get it done.
Thank you.
so I hear what you're saying, and I agree, but I took an oath to uphold this code. And I don't see where it says that,
Yeah,
and I read it carefully.
I will show you if you want to see.
Sure.
So.
I'm with you, Darlene. I really am. I'm with you.
Because when it was approved, it was 2 lots.
No,
No, no,
no,
Yes.
we have, the preliminary site plan that was approved in 2001 showed 3 lots. It also showed the existing parcels, pre-subdivided parcels, which are parcel numbers, those are tax numbers. Okay, but they showed 4 lots. And now the final plat shows 4 lots,
So
okay?
can I reference,
But I want to answer your question because you've been talking about one of these as oversized, okay? So we have
undersized.
2 of them are undersized, okay? So, and the reason being is that they've taken in, and made all of part of one of the lots, that area out in front, so it's the leach field, okay? But the other point is that we have in chapter 18 of our code is the general provisions regarding subdivision. any subdivision plan, whether it's subdivision in a residential setting or subdivision in a commercial setting, okay? And so you look in 1802F, applicability and compliance, it says. Subdivision standards set forth in this chapter do not necessarily apply to partitions and jointers. However, the following, and then F1, the standards of this ordinance apply to all subdivisions. The number of new parcels that can be created shall be consistent with the applicable zoning ordinance. For the current parcel. And right now, the zoning is 1 acre per parcel, but then you get into A, the overall development density for the parent parcel is the same as would be allowed in the existing zone, except for those conservation subdivisions. So right there, what that says is that it looks at a blended density. If that's a 6 acre parcel, there technically could be 6 lots created here.
If they were all an acre, that's correct.
No. If the density blends, that if you take the division of the parent parcel and you look at the density created by the subdivision, and if that comes out, if that mathematical equation comes out to be more than 1 acre, then it's approved.
So we have a question. What is the percent of land that has to be open space? Not parking lot, but open space, to qualify for that?
It doesn't have a requirement. Now, the commercial zone has some requirement regarding open space.
Because I thought I just heard that that is why they were able to do this, because there was so much open space.
Well, also because we allow for blended densities.
And I sat in the meeting where they first proposed this and they were told no. So I'm confused.
So,
Well,
so, we'd like to get the proper paperwork so that we can do our checklist. That's one issue. I think, he just kind of explained why we can't rezone to commercial, but this is not, we're not rezoning a parcel. This is a subdivision and this is a subdivision and just like someone could, have a lot with a different size. As things are shaking out, that's probably not prohibited. It's not-
well, Darlene, look at it this way. Think about a subdivision on a piece of property, and that property may have some geological issues, some hills, or different things that would require some creative development, grading, and things like that. An engineer who sits down to design a subdivision is gonna look, where does the roads best go? Where should the lots be? And they look at that and they say, okay, in this zone, I can have 1 acre lots. So my overall density, how big is my parent parcel? This parcel that I'm working with is 20 acres, okay? So he goes in there and he lays out the lots. And because of certain geographical features or angles of the parcel, one lot has to be 1.35 and another lot has to be 0.78. It's not an acre. But all of those lots divided by the size of the parent parcel is how you look at that. And that happens in a lot of our subdivisions. And I've been a town attorney for 13, 14 years, and I've always said, we work off of blended density.
But don't they have to, like, if it was a housing subdivision, they have to have their CCNRs in place prior to approval, and so we don't have those, because we have some.
Only if it's a condominium.
We have still valid, because I see that when I hear approval of final plat, or your CCRs, you know. I hear that,
So,
and. I think I just lost my,
it would be preferred if they have their CCNR.
Because there's some really complex questions we have that we want to find the answers to, but we don't have the documents to find those answers yet.
Well, just so you know, when they submit, I want to see that there is an association in place, and that that association has the ability to assess each of the lots money, so that they've got reserves and the ability to maintain those things that are common, like the access areas, any sort of utilities that are common. What I'm telling you is I only review and confirm that the HOA exists, the association has been created and is active, shows active with the Utah Division of Corporations. And then I take the CCNRs and I want to make sure that there's that assessment provision and there's a responsibility provision in the CCNR that those common elements will be maintained. Then the only other thing I look at, Darlene, in their CCNRs to see if there's anything that comes out as a red flag or they say something that is not, that is contrary to the town's ordinance. For instance, if they say we can have 35-foot tall buildings out there and we've got a 25-foot height requirement, I would go back to their attorney who's drafted the CCNRs and say, you need to correct this, this is contrary to our ordinance, you need to change this. Other than that, I really could care less what they say in their CCNRs.
Thank you.
And so I'm the one who does the review of those for compliance. If they had them handed in now, that would be great, it would go and it would sit with this plat until it would go and sit on my desk until this plat gets delivered to my office. This plat gets signed by planning commission chairman, mayor, city engineer, or the town engineer, town attorney. It comes to me last, and I will, at that point in time, I will review their CCNRs, and I will not allow, I'm the one who takes the plat over to the recorder's office and records it, because I record the CCNRs first, and then I record the plat, so each lot is subject to the CCNRs.
Okay,
But also in 18C, I'm reading that we have to do the final plat review, and we don't have that information at this time.
so I'm doing that, and I'm just about to turn it, let's let,
I just have a question about the 4 lots, because on the county, it just shows it as a 1 lot.
yeah, 2 parcels.
2 parcels, shows it as 2 parcels.
And that's what it's gonna show the county, this is a subject, this is just their plans for development,
But they're subdivided
they're subdivided.
Oh,
as part of their commercial.
okay.
Okay,
We consider, when we talk about final plats, I think of residential subdivisions. When I think of commercial
Right.
subdivisions, I think it's like,
And have you thought about my question regarding the 6 month?
the site plan expires.
The final plat needs to be submitted no longer than 6 months after the preliminary plat is approved. That's in our code.
Yeah. I don't know how we deal with that.
yeah, that's one of my questions. Okay.
Because obviously, after the plat was preliminarily approved, or the site plan was preliminarily approved, they got construction drawings approved, and they went out and they built it. Now, so they either would have to build all this, or they would have to bond for it. Instead of bonding for it, they built it, and now they're ready to record the final plat, and we sit here after. And if we were to say, no, you could never record a final plat now because it wasn't done within 6 months.
So that's
Oh,
not.
I understand, but as Darlene said, I swore no to uphold our
Well, I
town.
agree. So are you guys saying that it needs to come back to the preliminary site?
I don't know, I don't know what I'm saying, I'm asking you, what do you do?
What we are saying is, we gotta have all the paper, what we're saying is, we are not gonna say, yep, because he says, we just need to have to. We gotta prove it's he says, we gotta make sure we have the paper to go with it, so everything is like, we appreciate, yeah, so let's work on that.
We have, we've worked with your staff for 3 years, with your attorneys, your engineers, and done everything. We have worked intimately with your whole staffing in your office to make sure we do exactly everything that is required. We call in, we ask what is required, do you have everything you need? We've done everything we can to make sure you have what you need. It can't fall on us when we've been doing everything we can to follow what your requirements are when we're not given the requirements. This bit
I'm
about.
sorry, we're not given requirements.
Yeah, when you don't start, we've started this process and things have changed so many times. We've got millions of dollars in the ground and, you know, when you're talking about exactly, hey, we didn't follow an exact process that may or may not have just been added to the requirements, it's not fair and it's not just to try to hold us up for that.
Can I ask you a question about, so you've gone to the zoning administrator primarily, and just,
No,
They went, Crystal handed me a note, said that they, their construction drawings and their site plan, final site plan, went through, the DRC review January,
or,
on January.
they gone to.
They went to GR, January fourth, it was actually
So-
publicly noted.
That means
I believe,
that's-
Darlene, you went to that meeting, actually.
No, that was not that, that was just an informational meeting for the Desert resident.
No, that's a different one.
That's
This was the DRC.
This was the development,
Really marketing. There's that in the back.
it was not there.
So anyway,
as far as the division of land, I don't know if it's in chapter,
we can pay attention here.
my computer is, not functioning as well, but it's either chapter 8 or chapter 16, the division of land, but based on the shared open space, the clustering and density
Mhm.
is what we fall under, and we are in compliance.
I have drawn them too.
Okay.
Yeah, well, you're on, you found it.
Wow.
Well, you were.
As I constructed, I complain.
This is
Okay,
how we
appreciate
should
that.
evaluate density or lot sizing compliances from a blended density perspective.
Okay, so I appreciate you doing that, and I hear you.
Thank you.
Okay. We need to sort out how to make sure we have everything, so we don't want to rubber stamp it, we want to stamp it correctly, okay? So we're on it, we'll figure it out, okay, so.
And just to note, chapter 18 has not changed since, from one to that.
So Heath,
Yes.
how do we proceed as far as me? I mean, we've got nothing except for the word of everyone.
I have faith in our staff that things were done correctly. They seem, I guess my main concern is that this, 6 months of in our code is.
The building, the process of building sort of. It's not what it says. Okay, whatever.
Well,
But what,
I think maybe the way that we can address that is that, code does allow for an extension of that period. And, I think that if there is a motion to recommend, one of the conditions of, the recommendations for approval is that the council make a finding, that the preliminary plat has been extended to present.
I can go in the zoning administrator.
yeah, well, yeah, you know, so I wish you were here, so you could just take care of that.
Where's the 6 month that you're
It's in,
on, in the commercial law?
Chapter 18.
yeah, 18, preliminary plat is gonna be 1808.
It's 1810.
Oh, we have final plat? Okay.
A2.
Can I ask you another question?
Yes.
So obviously, the time frame you need was yesterday, but what kind of time frame? Like, do you need to walk in here tonight? You need to in your minds. What, do we have a minute to get our ducks in a row as far as paperwork? What's your feeling on that?
We would like to move forward.
Right.
Yes, I think that we have shown good faith in meeting with every person in this room, except for.
Except for us.
And planning
we're doing this.
It's been such a long process that I think that we've done way more
Your due diligence.
and way more than should have been expected. Yes.
Okay. We're looking for Jeannie and Bob.
Sorry, I'm in 1810, but what subsection?
So it's, section A, final plat review application. Paragraph 2, the subdivider shall prepare a final plat no later than 6 months after the date of approval of the preliminary plat. But, I mean, can we do an extension after the fact?
Well,
I mean, it's.
Well, again, my question is, think about this. We have approved construction drawings and they've built the improvements out there based on this construction drawing. I don't know how, if you're asking to rewind the clock or go back and go through the process to get a preliminary plat approved, re-approved.
I'm not
But
asking that.
what I'm saying is, the approval would have to be identical to what was approved previously.
Right.
There's been detrimental reliance and a lot of money expended based on the preliminary plat. So all that does is delay the process.
Right.
So I sit here and say, if the council feels like they can make a finding as part of their approval process that they are granting and considering the preliminary plat to be extended to present.
Okay.
So as not to run afoul of this
Right,
situation.
right.
Then, but leave that to the council.
Yes, and that's all I'm asking, and thank you, I think that's a good solution.
I just wanna let you guys know, we pulled minutes way back from when, in 2021, I believe, it was March of 2021. And the council, or maybe it was planning and zoning, I can't remember, but I don't think we pulled them, and we asked them if they were going to split their lots into 4 lots. You know, it was planning commission, it was a public hearing. And they stated yes.
okay.
So it's been known since the very get-go of their project that they were going to.
So there was nothing in there saying that, I believe it was the chair at that time who said, you can't do that.
No, they stated since the very beginning, and if you go back to their preliminary plats, that has been there.
Yes.
It's in the minutes, we
So
told them.
I understand that, I'm hearing what he has to say. But I still have to do my due diligence, according to 1810 C. And I prepare very deeply. And I just want our rules followed, and I don't know who's responsible for them, it may fully not be these guys. But, this is not the first time I've seen this situation, and,
I agree with you.
and it says we may hold the matter excuse me, may hold the matter in advance if there is incomplete or inadequate information. And if you have certain documents, and this has been in effect some parts since 2020, the latest one was 2021.
So you're saying the CCNR is in proof of that.
Whatever
We're gonna get to that in a minute, I hope.
Yeah, whatever's listed here that we're supposed to review and do our job.
So,
The final plat, that's what you review.
No,
okay, so. We have some documents to get together and without criticism, I would hope for as much cooperation as we can get and just gathering all that stuff. It would have been nice to have it before this meeting. So maybe in future, we can make sure that if there's something with this where we'll need the background, let's just work together to make sure we have all that, shall we? Now, let's talk about specifically permits and conditions. So we know that we need them to have some sort of a commercial CCNR, right? We need to have the, extension, extended to present, was a condition, right? I have some questions about, these seem so minor now after all this, but like walls, like the sound wall and those things being in the right places, so we need to make sure that we have that. Let's make sure town council is on that, shall we? Let's talk some more about any other conditions.
Is the wall part of the construction permitting or is it part of the subdivision?
Well, there was, yeah, so there's, I think we're okay from when I looked last, I think between residential zones and I think it's okay as far as the wall goes.
But
I don't know, I'm looking at the wrong place, right? But that's on my notes. Let's just,
What action is?
so just right now, what I'm trying to get us to do is think about conditions. Anybody have any conditions that they feel need to be addressed? Let's talk about that right now.
Then you would need to be looking at the conditional use permit that lists all the conditions.
Yes, we
And
would.
you don't have it.
We don't have it.
I do.
So. I don't know how do I, Keith, how do I do that? How do I check off the list if I don't have the list? For conditions like,
Why? If we're looking in, 18.10 and under C, planning and zoning commission final plat review. Planning commission shall recommend final plat
only if,
for approval. If it finds, and then there's A through G. Okay, there's your checklist right there.
yeah.
Okay. The final plat conforms to the approved preliminary plat and any conditions of its approval.
That's where we're
Doesn't
stuck.
say conditional use permit.
No, but,
Whatever they have to go off.
yeah,
But what I'm saying is this essentially the same as the preliminary plat? Has there
It's
been
the
any
same as
major
the construction
deviation?
drawings, I got that, but we don't know any conditions that were put on it. And I don't, obviously we're past this point, this is a paperwork
Okay,
issue.
yeah, no, so I agree with that. Maybe the staff, we could have gone back and found the meeting where the preliminary site plan was approved and if there was any special conditions.
Right, that's all I need, and if we have that,
I don't know that we have.
okay,
Um,
but do
But we
we
can-
actually need it?
Crystal might be able to find it while we're sitting here talking. I don't
But do
know.
we need it?
It would be nice to know if there was any special conditions, right, Darlene?
well, and also 1810A. It says comments from the Virgin Town staff, engineer, attorney, and other departments will be forwarded. This is for final plan to us and to the town council. And there's steps for the town engineer
Yeah.
to do, and my goal is to make sure our ordinances are followed to fidelity. And if, as you just explained to me, you know, I see that, and that's fine, but I have to do my due diligence.
No, I agree with you. I would tell you that the process that the town's been following does not necessarily comply or, I don't know that it requires or mandates comments from the town engineer and town attorney. I know that I don't even look at these things until that final plat comes to me. And I'm looking at it for all sorts of things. Are the signatures correct? Who are the managers of this LLC? Do I have signature lines for both managers? Are their names correct? Do we have proper acknowledgements? I'm looking at everything. I'm proofreading the legal description against the title report that they provide to me. But those are all things that can get, that's not, you're looking and proving and saying, I'm not changing the boundary of the lot, and I'm not gonna change anything else about the plat. I'm only looking at the legal things to make it enforceable and binding to the protections of town.
But in future, I would think when these things come on our agenda, let's just make sure we have all the stuff that we need so that we don't have to have this dilemma. Okay, just anything we would need to reference, all those things, we just have to work together to make sure all that is in place.
Can
I don't know how to move forward for me.
we
That's
use,
what I'm asking. Mayor has a comment.
I have one thing, I know I'm not supposed to interject myself,
Yes, but we
and
know.
I'm not interjecting myself, I just wanna make sure that when you guys are talking about conditions, are you talking about the conditions on the conditional use permit?
No.
Let me finish. Are you talking about the conditions on the conditional use permit, or are you talking about conditions on the construction loan? We made a condition.
Okay. We're talking about a couple, we would like to know the conditions that were already put in place for them to follow.
For
That's
what? For what? Construction drawings? For the construction?
We have,
No, Mayor, what I think they're saying is, back in 2021, when the preliminary site plan was approved,
Yes.
did the council, when making the approval, put in special conditions in the form of their motion?
thank you.
That's what I'm asking.
Yes, and then the other way we have been using the word condition is we're trying to move this forward, like as far as this discussion. And get to the point where we're setting the conditions for approval of final.
Okay,
final-
she's looking for the minutes of that meeting.
Great,
And she's going to see if there was any special conditions in the motion.
great,
So let's put a pin in that.
Yes.
And let's keep going down through C1, and let's go to B. The subdivision complies with the physical development standards of this ordinance, the zoning ordinance, the general plan, and the laws, the state of Utah, and the rules and regulations promulgated pursuant thereto. Now, I would say when construction drawings are reviewed by the engineer and by the fire district, they're looking for compliance with building code, fire code, all those different things. So state law, which we've adopted. And they look at, we have standards and specifications for public improvements. So I look at those sheets 10, 11, and 12 that are just like detailed how water connections, where the meter, how the meter is connected. Do those match our standards in our design? Said, the engineers looked at all those. He
yes,
wouldn't have signed up.
we would be having a discussion.
And so I guess we can say, we can have a discussion about whether the subdivision complies with the general plan. But that's a little bit more, that ship has sailed down the river because the zoning has already been done and the conditional use permits. Okay, so I would say, yes, it complies with our ordinances. As to the subdivision, not to the uses.
Or.
And not to the process.
Okay, does it not comply with setbacks?
And the setback on the two new lots or something is 45.
Setback.
I don't know if there's a way setback comparing mine is supposed to be
I think the buildings that they did at 45 was
buffer.
that was the common area was 45 foot each from the property line to the lot line where the
So
bike
if you
shop
look
is
at the
gonna be.
plan with that,
Yeah.
Yeah, so
that's
that,
not the final.
yeah,
That's not.
45 feet, I think.
That's not the final.
Right,
No, that's not.
but I look at that, so now it shows that it's set back the building is 50 feet.
Oh, here's the final plat.
It has from the edge,
I think it is.
it's 45. So I don't know if there was some kind of exception that I.
Well, yeah, because we don't have that.
But that's not, these are the kinds of things, so if we had, those reports, we would really have to ask these
Well-
questions.
Exactly.
Yeah, Darlene, when you say reports.
18.
Oh, are you saying comments from the town engineer?
Yeah.
Because you act as if we've got this like staff of 20 people
No.
who are sitting and reviewing and analyzing this, all right, staff.
And I understand that.
Yeah.
This has been reviewed by two engineers, third party reviewer. this,
And I believe you.
that's not, I
We
don't
believe
think
you.
that's the responsibility. UDOT has reviewed it, everybody has reviewed it.
Right, no, we believe you, we're not
I know
saying.
that-
we believe you.
So
I
there,
know that you're looking at numbers and details. I don't
Yeah.
know if that's where we're at.
Yeah.
Is that where we're at? Are we doing the
No.
review again?
but no,
No,
But-
it should not be, it shouldn't be. That's how we do it.
1810A3 does say, a written report of the town engineer's review has been submitted, and that would have been a cool thing for us to have access.
I think she's just giving examples of information that we'd like to be
Yeah.
looking at right now as we, as
And
a.
it doesn't mean.
I don't know that we can do that,
Yeah,
Okay, so,
or
they might have it in their code.
We have a lot of things that are in our code that
okay,
unless we have a budget of $2 million, we can't comply with it. I'm
Which gives
sorry,
us the-
we just don't have the
gives
ability.
us our work to do, yes, as far as fixing our code, so it actually works for our town, right? Okay, so,
My point two is the 45 feet on the front setback, that's to the pad area. That does not, we would evaluate it when they come in the building plan, is the building 50 feet from the state route. Okay, you got a pad, because they have to tell, if they sell like one of those lots to somebody, they need to say, you can't just build your building wherever you want, it has to be a pad. They're gonna design it and build it.
if these guys hadn't been waiting, if this hadn't been such a protracted process, what I would be saying is, look, we don't have, this body doesn't have what we need, we need to.
So other than that question about setback, I think we've got the address, I go to C, the subdivision will have adequate fire protection. It's been reviewed by the fire district, that's their thing, not our, okay? We'll have sufficient supply of culinary water. Our engineers looked at that, they've sized it and approved the sizing of their water lines coming in and everything like that. Unless we don't think that we have the water to serve it, then it has adequate water supply. It will not decrease the pressure in the culinary water system at any point. Well, I've got to assume that our engineer has looked at water pressure and those types of things. And what, if it's gonna be an 8-inch line going into that commercial development, how much draw that could be at peak?
So Keith, how do we get, everything I get it, everything you're saying it's been reviewed, and everything, all the ducks are in a row. All I need you to figure out is a way that we can know that, so that we can move forward.
She just wants a report.
conditional.
Yeah, you want a report, but what I'm telling you is approved construction drawings. If those things, if they were proposing construction of a commercial development that had substandard water sizing or would put an unnecessary draw thing on our water system, it would. We have approved construction drawing, they have. But you want a report that says that.
No, I just want a process that makes it so I can do my job, that's all.
I get it, but what I'm saying.
Or can we skip it and just have it come straight to you?
What I'm saying is that for purposes of this project,
Yeah.
because of the way that we have done it from a staff level perspective. Here's her values, she's got, feasibility report.
And honestly, all we need is this to happen before the meeting, that's all we need. Yes, please.
So I am extremely thankful that you are here tonight.
Yes, thank you. I'm sorry for beating you up.
I was prepared to say that we didn't have enough information to
All of us,
vote on this tonight,
all of us were.
but all the questions that I have, you answered.
Yeah, and I would say if I finished off that list, all of those things would be, my answer to you is it may not be in a report from the engineer, but all you have to do is look at the engineer approved construction drawing, and you have to trust that our staff look at each one of those things.
And if they're just gonna put in a file,
So that, you know,
Well, it seems to me like these things have been looked at, I'm looking at UDOT's.
yeah, but we don't have that.
Right.
All we need to do.
And all we're asking is that it doesn't even happen, but you gotta.
Realize there's a point where the planning commission has to trust staff.
We do.
I know, but my point is, do you really expect staff to scan and upload every little document that's gone along through
Please
the
no.
process for free? Holy cow, you guys.
Please, no.
I think all it would have taken was
That
a
would be
note
like
from
picking out a fire.
the
Wait, now, okay,
engineer that says, I've reviewed and approved all the documents. My recommendation is that we use the division, but that, then, in our, those 3 lines, have been in our document, or
Yeah.
normally you would have.
you would have answered all those tonight, so.
Well, and we can get Carl on the phone too.
Yeah, no. Okay, so the problem here is this process has been protracted and broken up in so many pieces that all the dots were, whatever. T's and I's, right? Okay. Next time, it's gonna be fine because it's gonna go to the DRC and we'll have that from them and we're done. We've got to make.
It did go through the DRC.
And we don't have that.
Then next time, let's make sure we just get a result from that. Like someone tell us.
I would agree.
And if Gene Garani were here, perhaps he could have solved all this.
I would agree that's something for the DRC.
Yes,
Put in your packet.
That's it.
But at that point in time, then you guys don't need to be the experts on that.
we understand that. We gotta realize we're working from zero information. Point well taken, but yes, we got that part.
So
Okay.
if I can finish,
Yes, we can. Let's back up quick though. Not too.
so again, a 3 letter or 3 lines from the engineer would have been all I needed tonight to say, right now we can do it. But you've answered all those, so I'm comfortable with it, other than that 6 months. So can we do a conditional approval that we send it to council with the understanding that they're gonna extend that?
So we have.
I want that, and I want one other condition that, the city attorney has to be provided approvals based on city attorney provided proof of the creation of a commercial owners association and CCNRs to the satisfaction of.
And that was one of my questions, was there a common area maintenance agreement and who's responsible for what? But if that is part of your process and not our process, then
No, it's not. Those are those 2 conditions we're talking about right now, the ones that I wrote down about an hour ago.
so can I make a motion?
Please.
I move that we conditionally approve final plat for B 2-121-314 and B 2-121-315 with the following conditions, that the common area maintenance agreement or CCNRs are approved by our town attorney, and that the council will extend the preliminary plat to site plan approval to present day.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, so. I have a motion that, approval of, give me your plot number again, because I lost my thing.
B 2-1-2-1-3-1-4, B 2-1-2-1-3-1-5.
Thank you. Being recommended to town council for approval with the following conditions. That, that their preliminary plat be extended to present, is that correct?
By the council.
And that, the town attorney approves a commercial, owners association agreement or commercial CCNR. And that's it, okay? Let's have a vote on that, will we roll call?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
No.
thank you.
okay, motion passes. Sir, thank you for your forbearance. And thank you, everybody, that was a rough one, and everybody was amazing, and Crystal, thanks for doing all of
Yeah.
that. That was really nice of you.
And again, thank you for.
And he,
I-
thank
yes,
you, and
I
thank
do
you for,
back to the fire.
yeah.
I feel bad, I know we want a lot, but I look at how much she does.
Oh, absolutely, when we know that, but
Yeah, I don't expect all those documents either, if it was just a letter.
no, all we need is just the process, and now we know what to do to hone it down, to hone it and make it work, right? So we're good. Okay, good work, everybody. Now, I think we have someone who's been waiting all night You know, one thing about our new planner, he's a very patient man, so Riker, or Mayor, would you like to tell us about Riker first?
Yes, I would, oh, actually, wait. I wanted you to see how, yes, okay, fine. Oh, okay. So I wanted you guys to know, we have, a planner from Sunrise Engineering that we contracted with to be, do planning services for the town, since we don't have a town planner on staff. And this is Riker Steglich, he is over here tonight, and he will be writing ordinances for us, land use ordinances, not general ordinances, though those will be up to us. Anyway, he has written 2 ordinances so far for us. One is on here tonight for you guys to look at. It's his first presentation, so he's going to present to you guys the ordinance that he wrote, so that you guys can go through. You should have it in your packet, and you can follow along as he explains to you this ordinance. And then he's also written a rough draft of the subdivision ordinance, which is in SharePoint key, so you can look at it for Tuesday's meeting.
Okay.
And we'll be talking about that at town council before it then comes back into the planning commission. So anyway, this is Riker Steglich, our new planner, and every time he has written an ordinance for planning commission, he should be coming to the meeting to present the ordinance to you guys.
Right on.
Okay, thank you.
So this ordinance is before you, as the town is seeking to become part of the Washington County Water Conservancy District. One of the requirements for that is that the town adopts an ordinance establishing, water efficiency standards, specifically the water district's water efficiency standards. And so this draft ordinance contains those efficiency standards from the district, and establishes them in a new chapter 62 of the land use code. There is one portion of this ordinance, you can go down to 62.06, the landscaping requirements. That you can kind of see there that it's highlighted. Item E states the district standards state that municipalities shall establish and maintain a minimum standard for living plant cover to help mitigate heat island impacts from soil erosion. So that is one portion of this ordinance that's left up to the discretion of the town to determine how much of the landscaping needs to involve, living plant cover. The rest of the ordinance is, pretty much verbatim from the Washington County Water Conservancy District. I believe that's one of the requirements for joining.
Yes, we have to adopt this by September 30th. And it has to come to the planning commission for us to vote. So it needs to be made, bring you guys to, by.
We'll put it on our August agenda.
I think I've worked with Riker before. He was, before he worked for Sunrise, he worked for Toledo City as their time administrator. And, I think it's good that what he'll do is he'll put a draft and he'll bring it, present it, explain it to you. Then he's looking for feedback from you. Based on the feedback that's given, he will have provided it to you before, so you guys hopefully should have all read it. He'll come up and talk about it a little bit more, give you some of the backstory and reasons why here and there. And then go over any critical portions of the ordinance. You guys then ask your questions and provide him feedback. He will then go make a revised draft. And at that point in time, that's what will get noticed for a public hearing.
Well, yes, we understand the basic idea. I think there's some protocol in there that we'll be working with. We're gonna review it at the meeting.
But it's good.
Yeah, I heard, we heard that. Yes, Darlene?
So what's the date in September we need this? We have to have it by September 30th, last day, so we have this.
So we need to get comments and then a version with our comments reflected by our work meeting in August, so that we can then at our regular meeting
Yeah, and
That's right.
And I would tell you,
Yeah.
I would also tell you that Riker, on this ordinance, his hands are a little bit more tight, the
Yeah, this is the
district
one
is
we're gonna have to
dictating
do.
a lot of this. And so when you ask the question, why this? In this ordinance, it's gonna be harder for him to say, this is fine, other than
Yeah.
the district is insisting, and if we want to be part of the regional water supply, then we have.
So I just have one question and may fall under that. And that is, if we don't allow car washes in any of our zones, do we need that section on car washes?
Is this one?
Yeah, so that's something that it's in the actual language of their standards, so we have to consult with the district as to whether or not that would be acceptable to remove
That's
that.
one of my questions.
For Riker, even you could put in there presently, no zones, allow car wash as a permitted conditional use. If a zone is, if the zoning district regulations ever modified such that it allows it, these requirements would apply, something like that.
Yeah. And then do you have any info for us, Riker, on your other comment that town will need to decide on a minimum standard of living plant coverage?
So that's the one that I was mentioning previously,
Correct.
is that's something that the town needs to decide on.
But what does like items?
50%, most of them are 50%.
50%.
Switching to seven, it seems like you would use more water with 50% coverage.
If it was up to the district, no more than 30%.
Yeah, they would prefer less.
Okay, well, my question.
But that is the one discretion that they
Yeah, so that-
give the cities to choose.
Well, and I agree with the 50% because we have so much rocks that the 50% stops heat islands.
I would have to go add more landscaping and more water to it.
This is all future development, isn't it, Riker?
It doesn't, it won't have any retroactive effect. It won't have any retroactive effect,
That's fine,
unless you would go and do like a major overhaul in your landscaping, then you have to comply with those standards. But anything that's existing doesn't have to comply, all new development would.
So I have a question. This thing that we highlighted here is section E about this living plant cover. Is this something we are to adopt separately or are we?
No.
No, we don't, right there. So right there, key, we could delete that out and put in.
So Riker, can you have our work meeting and decide on a number with that, and we just have Crystal send that to you, and then you would put it in the ordinance, is that correct?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, got it.
Or you beat her at work.
Hmm?
Or you beat her at her work, they can set up the.
He's gonna come when he introduces it, and if we have a meeting,
Financial resources.
Yeah.
Way, he's good.
We're paying his hours.
we can't do our job for us, we just.
So is there any way we could amend this to write?
No.
Because it's going in as chapter 62, it's part of our land use ordinance. And any land use ordinance requires a 10-day advance notice of a public hearing held at the planning
And
commission.
we can take.
But if we make our suggestions and incorporate them now, then we have plenty of time to do that and we're not
Sure.
at the last minute. I don't know.
I'm seeing Darlene's ready, as everything else.
I'm not ready to do that.
So you guys wanna have this before our meeting, send me all your comments and I will, and we'll have a conversation the proper way,
Yes.
So I would-
Usually send something to the chair, but not a.
That's what I meant.
Right.
All of you separately send me your comments, I will separately reply, and through those separate interactions, I will come up with something to give to Crystal that she can give to Riker, okay?
Because when
And
is
then-
because our work meeting is just a
We have
week.
our general plan and work meeting on the 7th of August, so.
And then our meeting is the 14th, so we have to do this before.
That's right.
Yeah,
And
well, to get it done, a 10-day notice for a public hearing, we
It would
would
have to be.
set a 7.
Right. So we might have to think about our meeting.
Well,
Or
How
how?
about I make a suggestion?
How about you?
Y'all go and read this and analyze it, come up with your suggestions.
We can do that.
And give it to Riker, he can have it revised soon,
Soon,
but
like-
like say within the next day or two, have it
Okay.
to Bronwyn gets it to Riker. He will then revise the current draft,
Yeah, so.
and I gave him a suggestion on the wording on car washes.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
he will get it to Crystal so that Crystal can do a 10-day advance notice of.
She has to have seven.
So, on that note, you guys. On that note, we'll have to get together on everything we want on our public hearing. So we'll do some separate communication. To make sure we can get a public hearing on for August, so we don't, as we got behind this, we gotta catch up. So we'll work on that.
So,
So I will have something, I need you guys to have to me, whatever you want to do about this landscaping. Letter E, have them to me
while
by next Wednesday, can you do that?
everybody's thinking about that, I did read the definition of what coverage is, and 50% coverage would mean that 50% of your lot will be covered by that plant when it's fully mature. But it doesn't include trees, so you could have all the trees and none of your plant never gets sun.
Yeah.
But you still have to have 50% plant coverage, which I think uses more water, so. I don't know, leave one's 50, I think 25,
It's not a minimum, it's a maximum.
It's a max.
Fifty is the maximum.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so maybe
it's
we
not,
can do it
not
for
a
the thing.
floor, it's a ceiling.
it says the minimum is the plant coverage.
Is that for?
No, it said,
No, but Keith is saying the state said maximum is 50%, so.
So we can word it that way, right? Maximum.
you, no, it's,
We want a minimum standard.
yes, what is your minimum? So if your minimum is 20%, then the minimum is 20.
Right.
Right,
yeah.
But I would,
Which is the ceiling. It's a cap,
No.
no more than 20% of your.
No, that's
Least.
minimum.
Well, then, right, tell us.
I think the intent there is to establish the minimum amount required, so you got that at least that amount of living.
At least that much living time, okay.
that doesn't include trees, so. I think
That doesn't
we should be
include-
Small.
I could go with 30.
Okay.
I bet it's-
I'm so glad we're not discussing this tonight.
Right? So glad it's on your agenda, right?
We don't have that much time to.
Well, I just want to make
I know,
sure
but
I knew what the definition was. before
Right,
they
right,
said
exactly.
Numbers.
So by Wednesday, can you guys have that to me?
You got mine.
Hey, yeah, I got it, right?
And I like Keith's wording on the.
Car wash.
Okay.
Right, you know, there's golf courses on there too, so I think the same way.
Same language with golf courses.
No, there's 90 at the top, amazing, just kidding. Just kidding.
Can we, or,
Yes.
right, just to be clear, that other than that, there's nothing on here we can change.
Yeah, the rest of the language in here is verbatim from the district standards.
Kind of like when the bank gives you a loan, they hand you the loan document.
And yes,
Pretty much just knowing that.
we always love agreements like that.
If I want to run my misters on September or October 1st,
You're out.
because it's 105, I can't do it.
So, Riker, I do have a question on 6207A. All attached and detached single family dwelling units with ground floor square footage. So Bill, is there supposed to be another there? Shall be separately metered, sub-metered, or equipped with alternative? Should there be a square footage there?
No, just with any ground floor something.
So it has to be one of those because it says or.
It's either detached, single family dwelling units with ground floor footage, meaning that
Correct.
a portion of the unit has to touch the ground.
So my question is on the next, shall be separately metered, sub-metered, or equipped with alternative technology? Can you explain what that means?
So I don't know if you're aware, in recent years, the district has pushed to meter all properties, whether it's secondary water or primary water. That's what this is referring to, is that any dwelling that has, like you stated, that has square footage, ground floor square footage is required to have its own meters so that water can be.
So I can see that if it's separate, we have to have its own meter.
If it's being treated as a dwelling unit.
Yeah, so that.
And how would
I
this
guess what
affect?
they're trying to say is think about a condominium,
Uh-huh.
which could be airspace,
Correct.
you wouldn't need to have a separate meter.
No. But that, I mean, these are the things I was thinking about. And then the other thing is, does that affect our agricultural water?
Shouldn't. Are you talking about people that are on irrigation?
Correct.
Companies?
We can't.
My understanding.
We,
Can we
no,
clarify that? Because I'm sure we'll get that question.
It's the private.
Or tell me where I could clarify it. Because I'm afraid.
Those are the private companies, water.
Yeah, but I know I'm gonna get that question, so I'd love to be able to give them an answer.
okay, it's in 62.02 applicability.
62.
Yeah, the following standards shall be required for single and multi-family residential, commercial, institutional and industrial development, construction activity or landscape installation that uses potable, secondary or reused water, not irrigated, it doesn't say irrigation water, so they made it pretty clear that it does not apply to ag and irrigation.
Okay.
So right, you're just all clear on the separate meter. We're looking at a commercial development with 4 units. I was gonna service it with 1 meter and I was gonna pay a water bill. And that would be included in the rent. Is this not allowing that? Would I have to get 4 individual water meters or will
So these are
submeters?
referring specifically to, single family dwelling units.
No, it does say commercial also. Right.
Where,
Or the way-
so under 6207 metering, it states, is that what your question is referring to?
Oh, you're saying that the metering requirement only applies to.
Yes.
So only applies to residential?
Single
Correct,
family.
yes, it's here, it's all attached to detached single family dwelling.
Yeah.
And then we have the ordinance coming up for the council that says that you can't have a separate meter on one property, but if you have a casita, it says here it's required to have a separate meter.
So I'll get some clarification from the Water Conservancy District on that. This 62078 does say that it can be sub-metered or equipped with alternative technology, so I'll get some clarification.
My point would be, if it's a casita and a fully equipped casita capable of separate living and being rented or anything like that, that would need a meter, but if it's like a bedroom with a microwave and the sink, but no laundry facilities and stuff like that, and I have backup, assuming that has backup, that wouldn't need, because that is just an accessory dwelling to the master dwelling. But this is where it says dwelling units. We use that term in our ordinance. A dwelling unit is this, and it has to be capable, it has to have cooking, bathroom, cooking facilities, bathroom facilities, sleeping facilities, but it does not require laundry facilities, for it to be a dwelling.
Oh, boy. You want to see something?
It's unfortunate they didn't have those definitions, like a sub-meter, it's not a term
Well,
an average person would know.
if you have definitions for a lot of these things, you have a definition section that's 3 pages.
Like a dictionary. You have a
And
dictionary.
then do we have a city standalone in 62, or do we throw it back in chapter 2?
Right.
So that if we could just get clarification on those terms, so when citizens ask questions that we could respond.
Okay, all right. Riker, what else do you want to tell us? We'll be quiet. You tell us what you want to say, and then we will go home.
That's, as far as this ordinance is concerned, that's, is something you guys address the comments that you want addressed, and then I'll look for that confirmation on the living plant cover.
Okay.
And then once we get a little further on that subdivision ordinance, that would, we're good. That's the point as well.
Okay?
Thank you, Mike. I just want to say welcome aboard.
No, well, thank you for the hours that you've already saved me.
You'll find like to be very open, easily accessible.
Do we get access to them?
No, you
No.
don't.
You know, unfortunately, just like the attorney,
So, yeah,
they always tell, okay, give your questions to the attorney, move
Yeah.
on. And only really the mayor, the clerk, and the planning commission chair have the ability to call.
So I'm
because they're
gonna
just
send
trying
it,
to
and I'm gonna
cost
send
down.
it.
Everyone called me. I
So,
built.
You don't have to call me.
I think it, yeah,
I
so
called.
we kind of have a protocol set up, so we'll follow that.
So did you have a commissioner comment that you want to?
Yes, but that has long since gone by the wayside.
Okay.
My commission comment right now is, shall we all go home?
I move to adjourn the public meeting.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, wait, she wants, yes.
No, I know.
Is there another comment? I was reading faces and I didn't forget. But, there you go.
Good.
You gonna say that motion?
No, I want her to give a comment. She wants to.
No,
No, I don't have.
I second.
We got a motion from Val and a second from Kent and.
Yes.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Aye, okay, motion passes, let's go home. Good work, people, that was a groove.